Another one.
Why is testing so hard for developers? All right. So I found this one to be a very interesting one. So, as a software developer, it is so hard for me to even start with testing. I'm trying to learn testing and implement in my app, but don't know where to start because I don't know how to come up with scenarios. How do you professionals do it? So, you know what? That's a good question from Bridget, for someone who transitioned from like UI, UX, front end, or like software development to QA. How do I come up with scenarios? Because, well, here's the thing. I think that it might be easier in a way, because all right, what I was gonna say, it might be easier to go from QA into software development rather than from software development into QA, because let me start the time, right? But the problem is with the software developers, the mindset is always, and this happens to me too. Even like when I'm developing, the same exact thing happens to me. We think of what we're writing is perfect and that everything's gonna work. And the testers, they think of whatever is being written, it is totally horrendous and nothing works. And usually we find somewhere to meet in the middle. So it's harder because even for me, like I'll develop something and then I'll tell the tech barbarians, hey, it's ready, I'm done. And then they'll be like, oh, I found a bug. I'm like, oh, I hate you. I'll literally be like this. I'll be like this.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
And I'm like, you know what? What's going on here, right? But that's the thing. Like when you're the one writing the code, you're thinking about, okay, how do I get it to work? How do I get it to work? How do I get it to work? And now the QA people are thinking about, how do I get it to break? How do I get it to break? How do I get it to break? So I think in order to be and the thing is, right, a lot of times when I'm writing my code, I'm also using test-driven development, but I'm missing certain like scenarios and stuff like that. And then after the fact, so just the other day, we're winding down our sprint, and I tell one of the tech barbarians, I'm like, hey, you know what? Can you try this scenario because I think this is gonna fail. And they tried it, and lo and behold, it failed. I'm like, okay, yep, that's what I thought, because I wasn't actively thinking about the development. I was thinking about it after I changed my hat to the QA hat. I'm like, you know what? This scenario is probably a bug that I created, and then it was. So it's all about you can't be a developer. You can't have your developer hat on when you're trying to think about testing, and that's why they say someone who tests their own code is like how does the saying go? It's like the person who tests their own code is the worst QA person, because you can't see all those other scenarios. Like writing unit tests is one thing, right? Doing test-driven development is another thing. But when you are tasked to test your own code, there's bound to be errors. And I'll tell you this: with the time cost calculator, when like the trap and slay final typo the other day, I'm like, oh, that was so obvious. I didn't see it, but boom, found it. So that's the thing behind it. Like, you need to be able to walk away from your code, approach it in a different light, act like you're not the one who wrote it, and see what are the things that could be wrong with this. And I think that's going to put you in a better spot to start coming up with scenarios. You need to put the hat on of a user, which a lot of times is hard for a developer to do. But you know how they say kids say the darndest things? Users do the darndest things. Users do the darndest things, because you're like, why would they do that? I don't know. But they see things that we don't see. Like, even as QA, right? You'll see like someone will say, "Oh, the user," like you get a message from support like, "Hey, the user tried to do this, and this is what happened." And I'm like, "What in the like? Why would they do such a thing? Why would a user do that?" But it gives us something that we're supposed to patch up. We need to, or make it work or something like that, because it was a scenario that we didn't think of. It wasn't a use case. So another way that I think that would be helpful for developers to start becoming more testing minded, more quality minded is think about behavior driven development. Because I think with the behavior of an application, that does put the developer and the QA and the business analyst at a closer mindset to the user. Because now we're not thinking about how the code is written, we're thinking about how the application is used. So now, when the scenarios are being written, there are all the different ways that you should be able to interact with it, all the ways that you shouldn't be able to interact with it, how things are supposed to look. So it's giving you a good insight on that. Also, one more thing. It is essential to have great acceptance criteria. The acceptance criteria. So me, a lot of times, I might not even know what exactly the story is doing or how it's being implemented. But being that I can read the acceptance criteria, I can know what testing scenarios I should follow. So it is imperative that you also have great acceptance criteria for your stories, and then based on that, like a lot of times I just get the acceptance criteria and I say, okay, I need this test case, this test case, that test case, and I have a whole list of scenarios and test cases that I write. So I think that is a few strategies that will help the software developer come up with better testing scenarios. You need to change the hat that you're wearing. Take off the developer hat, put on your tester hat. That's number one. Number two, think about adopting a little bit more behavior-driven development and test-driven development. And number three, make sure that your acceptance criteria is on point.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.